A special hello to all my fellow remaining Fireflies out there. Welcome or welcome back to McFly, my little corner on the internet, where I just sit around here and talk about, well, I normally talk about video games, but today, we're talking about a TV show based on a video game. And I think I'm getting sick, so we're gonna have to bear with my voice on this one, but I can't not talk about The Last of Us, especially this Season 2 that they're gearing up for. Just the other day, they released the final full trailer for The Last of Us Season 2, and that's what we're going to be checking out in this video, and then afterwards, probably going to be ranting a lot about The Last of Us in general. So this is your one and only spoiler warning for anything The Last of Us, whether it be Part 1, Part 2, Season 1, Season 2, and obviously I know we don't know what Season 2 brings, but actually, from the glimpses I've seen of Season 2, they're kind of going off script a little bit, so it may not be a full spoiler warning for Part 2, but you should still play the game. When I think The Last of Us, like, where do I start? Especially Part 1, that is a masterpiece in my eyes. I love that game. I still play it religiously to this day. I play it at least once a year. And of course, seeing all these ads for Season 2, it makes me want to start over and replay everything. Even probably watch Season 1 again. But we've already had our victory lap with that game, and they handled the Season 1 pretty well. I mean, they obviously did some minor changes, some for good, some for bad, depending on who you ask. But now we're moving on to the highly controversial sequel. And there are so many questions that I have when they go into this, trying to actually adapt it, because there were so many controversial things even when the game came out alone. And the game basically is a movie. The question is if they're actually going to commit to a certain thing that they committed to in the game, and if they don't, how much of that they're going to change around. Because the few glimpses I have seen of The Last of Us Season 2, it looks like they might be going off script a little bit, messing with the timeline. Obviously, I know the transfer from video game to TV can be different, but I mean, I think they're taking a lot of liberties with rewrites. And I'm not fully knocking that. I mean, that could be a good thing. There are a lot of things that could be changed, and there's one specific one that I'm sure everybody's wondering if they're going to change. So without further ado, likes are always appreciated. Leave your love for The Last of Us in the comments below, and let's do it. Don't let me down. Looks so good.
You okay?
If there's one thing, you can't deny the cinematography and the score. It's just so good.
This is where we live. And what's that?
Welcome to Jackson.
What's inside?
People.
Wow.
What's outside?
Monsters.
By the time the sun comes up tomorrow, there's
Wow.
a very good chance you'll be dead.
You're gonna lose.
Jeremy Wright? Hell yeah.
Don't you know what he did? You swore.
Alright, well, I will say that was an amazing trailer. I expect nothing less. I'm probably going to jump around the trailer now because there was a lot of visual work going on. They pulled some things, well, I can't say they pulled them right off the page like book sense, but they pulled them right out of the game. But like before, I have questions about the timeline of all of it. Obviously, I already said spoilers and all that, but if anybody who's played the video game, you know in Part 2, we see a lot of Joel through flashbacks. So I'm just curious if that's what we're seeing here, or if we're going to be living that, and then we're building up to the climactic moment that we're all waiting for, if anything, that we all know made the game controversial. Because I don't see the whole season here, and they might be building and meshing up things a little bit, because I did see the wolves. I guess you saw the Seraphites. There was even like alluding to that one scene where they string up the girl. But I think they're all just introductions. You even saw Jeremy Wright with his leadership. I think he leads the wolves, right? When it's really cool to see him reprising his role. I just can't wait to see him play his maniacal villain in actual glory. Was amazing actor. Amazing. But just pointing it out, I mean, obviously cinematography is off the wall. And now something similar to this scene is at the end of part 1 game. Like, this is the last scene of part 1, the video game. It's them walking to where they're going to live, which I imagine is going to be Jackson eventually. That's that town, or that little, you know, the little town that you saw in the snow. They eventually develop a town called Jackson, and that's where they're heading to here, and it's supposed to be the end of part 1. But yeah, look at Jackson, dude. That... Hold on. That is a sight, dude. It's... I don't know, it's not nostalgia, because the game's not that old, but it's just so nice to see something that was just like a video game, not fully real, and then just represented here. It's beautiful, and they nailed it, dude. I know we're all looking at this corner building too, like they nailed it.
What's that?
The fence.
And here, I imagine that's gonna be Joel's
The
nephew.
fence.
They did allude to Joel having a girlfriend once he made it in the Jackson in the games, but unless they're gonna
What's
change that,
inside?
Joel had a wife, had another kid.
People.
This pulled right off the page.
People.
The little communal dance they do, and that's Dina. Those are the wolves, and then here you have Abby trudging through the snow. I can't help but think they're going the cliffhanger of season 2's end will be that controversial bit where Abby meets up with everyone. I think it's all going to build to this, and then they might move on to season 3 as the back end. But then I see this, like hordes attacking Jackson. Obviously, we go on some kind of journey too. It's all just... Did they film both seasons? I don't know. I'm curious if they filmed season 2 and season 3. I see this little war bit, like they have to defend a wave. You know, it's just going to be a story arc, maybe for an episode or 2. They have to defend Jackson from a wave. And it's got me wondering how much time we're actually going to be spending doing other things. While I don't really see the Seraphites and the wolves interacting with anybody specific, like here we see them. I have a feeling certain episodes are going to be devoted to explaining the Seraphites and the wolves, like solely. Like we're just going to cut away from Joel and Ellie and everybody in Jackson. We're just going to cut away for an episode or 2, and they're just going to explain wolves and Seraphites and that whole thing. It is a lot to unpack. They do need to give it time. So that just might be a growing force in the background while they're doing the other stories. But,
By the time the sun
look,
comes
there's Jesse. He's one of my favorite characters from part 2. Jesse, poor Jesse. That's Abby. Never mind, maybe that's not Jackson, or that's when she gets to Jackson? Maybe they're going to flip the script on how it happens, too. And that's the one that's got me going, is Nora. Right here.
Don't you know?
Great casting, by the way. Looks just like her almost. I wonder if that's actually... Is that her model? Is that the person that motion captured? This is an intense moment alone in the game, and they gotta nail it. And that's what I was going to say before and save it for the end. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people. I'm not trying to hate on Bella Ramsey, but she doesn't sell it as Ellie to me. I can't get my head around it, especially if we're not doing a time jump and you're just trying to sell me this is the same Ellie, or if you're going to try to lie to me that time has passed. She does not look older. She does not look more mature. I don't know, it just kind of adds to the character. But maybe that's just me. What do you think? And they use swords. Yeah, it's like, where in the timeline is everything?
You swore.
That's an epic scene too right here. But again, a flashback. So I guess that leads me to where I'm going with this. Are they going to commit? Will they do the deed? They even hired Pedro Pascal to do it. Will Joel go golfing? I've been kind of saying to myself since season 1, they hired Pedro Pascal. They're probably going to do Tommy instead of Joel. But then I guess it wouldn't really drive. I guess he would have the revenge. But then you would have... I don't know. I guess then it wouldn't even make sense, because why would they just kill Tommy? Unless it's one of those deals where it's like, all right, we're not going to kill you for what you did, but we're going to still take something from you that you cared for dearly. Boom, there's Tommy. And then Joel can't let it go. So he's got to go on his revenge trip. I don't know how they're going to shake it out. I'm really curious if they're going to do it. I'm curious if it's going to be this season's cliffhanger at the end. And then the little girl they kind of show here with the Seraphites. Hold on. I'm curious if she'll be specific, because that's also my bit with the timeline, and I don't think they're going to do the whole game in one season. I don't even see Lev. We know Abby runs around with Lev. I don't see that at all. We also don't see more bits with Owen or anything. It seems centrally focused on Ellie and Joel. And then that also has me thinking that maybe they'll tell this season will be Ellie and Joel, and then maybe season 3 will be Abby's perspective, kind of like how the game does. But then I can't see them expecting the audience watch all this. Let's say Joel goes golfing at the end, and then the rest of the season 3 people are just gonna want to watch. I doubt it. I think just like the video game, you'll kind of lose your base. Also, I can't help but think there's more too, and I can't stop staring at the cut on Ellie's eyebrow. And I'm trying to see if there's any kind of point to that, to see if there's going to tell like in the timeline, but I'm now wondering if that's going to be how they explain their flashbacks. It's like, oh, if you see Ellie without a cut eyebrow, then it's a flashback. But I've yet to see proof. But usually sometimes filmmakers and stuff will use stuff like that to try and key the audience and to be like, oh, this is then and this is now. So I just can't stop staring at it though. Moving on, this is probably another trailer you've seen. This one came out April 2025. It shows more scenes of Abby's side, especially on that fateful day. But I'm wondering if they've filmed a bunch of stuff and they are cutting it between 2 seasons, because I can't imagine this all fitting in 10 episodes or something. It's going to be so rushed. Do we have an actual episode count? How many episodes? But this is pivotal, even to the ears. And even this, I talked trash about Ellie's casting. This casting is spot on. I know she's not like beefy, but spot on. I just feel bad for her and all the hate she's probably gonna get.
You have a code like me. There are just some
Jeremy
things
Wright, some more of that.
everyone agrees are just wrong.
Yeah, they're just little bits that make me question so many things, dude. Again, I don't think the Seraphites and the Wolves are going to be like an issue for Joel and all them in this first one, maybe towards the end. This one I saw, I'm curious if someone's being rushed home. This scene, that might be when she decides to actually go do the deed. Maybe she's talking to Owen or something. I want to know what the hell this is. That. What the heck is this? Maybe they find out about Ellie and they try to re-put her in a hospital or something? I don't know. And then this one, I imagine they throw this into to make you think they did the deed. Hear me out. They want you to think, you know, he came home and he's like, Joel's dead. Wah. But I think this is actually after that big fight that we see when all like the clickers and all that attack Jackson. I think it's part of that after that. Like, yeah, right there. There's a scene from it right there. No, they're going to show us Bella Ramsey punching a punching bag. Look, she's been practicing, guys. She can... That's been my biggest thing, is I cannot see this girl duking it out. Like, Ella and Abby are supposed to have the biggest fight in my eyes, and I can't take this girl seriously. I don't know how I feel, man. I don't know. Obviously, these are just the ramblings of a fan that'll probably never be heard by the right people. But at least you're good people. You know, you got the right ears. What about you guys? How do you feel about the trailers? Are you excited for Last of Us Season 2? I'm still going to watch it, and I'm pretty excited. It looks beautiful. Hopefully, they at least tell a good story there, even with the liberties they do take, aside from the actual story. Because if there's one thing, whether you hated Last of Us Part 2 or you loved The Last of Us Part 2, I'm sure we can all agree that some rewrites are probably needed in there, right? Maybe some perspective changing. I don't know. Hopefully they learned from all that and they made their own version. But that's all I got for this one. Or at least until they throw more media at us. We do have the show on April 13th. And then for anyone who's a PC player and you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 yet, I think the release for The Last of Us Part 2 on PC is April 3rd. But that's only if the release goes well, because I'm pretty sure when Part 1 launched on PC, it was janky as hell. So maybe don't pre-order. Watch it before you buy or something. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Likes are always appreciated, and I will catch you out there in the next one.